Hello, everybody. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant. The movie theaters are starting to feel full again, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about more House of the Dragon, episode 6. So I want to say this is the halfway point between the season. I feel like it's still going to be 10 episodes like the original Game of Thrones. Am I correct, Burn?
Yeah, so this is the first part of the last half of the season.
Okay, cool. I was right. Yeah, so there's a lot of developments happening. Like, I know we've been saying that, like, every week and stuff, but no, this is definitely, like, a big milestone in this show. So before we get started, guys, as always, don't forget to give us that support by either giving us a like, ringing the bell to stay up to date on any posts and stuff we have, or let me say not Andor or casting Andor, doesn't matter. Don't be afraid to press that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate it, guys. Got to keep growing that ranting community. So it's just a bunch of ramblers out there talking about movies and shows and all that stuff. But shall we get started, Bird?
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it. This is a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode.
Yeah, no, I full-blown hate Alicent now as an adult. What's the actor? Oh yeah, Olivia, played by Olivia Cook now. Man, she's such a good actor. The only real movie I've seen her in was in Ready Player One. I know she's been in a handful of stuff, and this is just another example of why she's great. The main characters right now are in such different places in their life, and they all seem so miserable. Like, I don't remember Game of Thrones characters being this miserable before, but man, I'm feeling it. I don't know if that's just me, Burn, but what were you thinking so far?
I guess like an internal misery, with a lot of the other characters, I guess you're talking about, it's very like outwards, like there are physical things in the world that are causing them harm, and here it's a lot of just like infighting and just like mean looks and different like little sniveling actions that they're doing to each other because they're living in under the same roof. Just it's family drama. This is a family drama show, but I mean, dude, what an incredible way to start this second half of the series, especially in the way that they introduce our two, not new leads, but new versions of the leads that we've had so far. With, like Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra, the older Rhaenyra, and like you said, Olivia Cook as the older Alicent. The opening sequence, of older Rhaenyra giving birth and walking all the way to the Queen's chamber at the Queen's request. That was such a like incredible sequence. Like first, like it just shows like the power of Rhaenyra and just like the strong headedness of being the one to do that, to like not give any quarter to the Queen basically, and then again just the Alicent going full on evil stepmother on Rhaenyra with having that request in the first place. It like I said, it sets the stage for where they are at now at this point and who they are as people in this current stage. And I thought it did a really good job of that.
Yeah, the birthing scene was crazy, and the fact that she walked, because, but again, she was like, I am not giving Alicent any sort of reason to doubt me or like to just kind of bask as saying, oh, I'm better than you kind of thing. So she was tough, and like I said, everyone's at such a different place. Like, her and Laenor, they're on their third child, but it's nobody's happy. Like, Laenor and her are definitely in their own separate lives, essentially living with each other, like married to each other, but you could definitely tell there's nothing there for them. They are literally there by just law, essentially, by pact. And he tries. I did appreciate him trying to be there, but at the same time, no one's living the life they want, and Alicent is just taking advantage of it, especially when she took the baby Joffrey, which I was like, oh god, why'd you have to name the baby Joffrey? One of the worst characters ever.
Yeah, you doomed that child. That child's not going to have a good life with that name. It's just it's a given at this point.
God no. But I did like the fact that they pointed out that none of oh my god, none of Rhaenyra's children are truly hers and Laenor's. Like, she's like, oh, maybe the next one will be look more like you. It's like, fuck you, lady, that was just rude. But I mean, it is that jealousy, like what we were talking about last episode, that Rhaenyra kind of just gets to do, is living her own life without any consequence, essentially, and that's been her whole like really driving force of hatred for her this whole episode. It's like she flaunts everything without consequence, and I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And
Yeah, like Allison is of the mind that I'm having to play by these rules. My life sucks, so everyone should be basically doing the same thing. Like the fact that Rhaenyra gets to do whatever she wants and has no consequence for it, she is very angry at that, and she makes it known. Like a lot of times, Allison is not approving of anything that Rhaenyra is doing in her life currently.
yeah, and it's unfortunate, but it's been a raw deal for everybody, especially Viserys. Man, he is just. I'm surprised he was still alive, to be honest, because the way last episode ended, I was like, dude, he may be dead by all this happening.
Yeah.
Nope, he's still kicking, but he's losing hair and he lost an arm, so not good
Yeah.
for him.
When I saw him come in, he's looking all decrepit and just hanging on by a thread. I was like, "Are you still living? Like, dude, like just die already! Why are you hanging on?"
He reminded me of in holes like Sigourney Weaver's like great grandfather, whatever, just making her dig the hole, just sickly like. He's just trying to be there for his family, whether it be his kids, Allison, or his daughter Rhaenyra, and now his grandchildren. Like he's trying to hold on, and he's got. I think he has a pretty bad too. Like given he got Allison and stuff like that, but it's like they're also nothing of a couple either. She has so much contempt for everybody, and it's like, god
Mm-hmm.
damn, lady, like not even her own children. Like the scene with her daughter, and like how she's like examining the centipede and stuff. She just has like no interest in it, like no interest in her kids at all, except the fact that it's like, you're my family, you guys are set to rule just like my father wanted, and that's it. All the vibes I got. I mean, do you think I'm misreading that, or would you agree?
No, I mean, like the biggest scene to basically exemplify that is when she walks in on Aegon, jacking off
Ugh,
outside of the
yeah,
window, but
that was
doing his
weird.
doing his best Homelander impression. But yeah, like she scolds him, but she's like, "Yo, like you're gonna be the one to lead. You're the one that's gonna be the conflict for the throne is gonna come down between you and Rhaenyra." So she's like, and the kid, he doesn't seem like he has any interest for the throne at all right now. I mean, he is young, so it could be one of those things. But when she's like, it just seems like she's pushing him towards it in the same way that her own father pushed her into the position that she's in now. So, like you said, she's not being as much of a mother as much as she's trying to push her family line, if that makes sense.
She's very much reminiscent of Cersei at this point in time. Like she just is like preparing them for the future, but has no real. Well, Cersei did love her children. I will say that. That's the only real comparison is that their drive, but at least Cersei loved her kids for the most part, and Alicent just has nothing for them. But I do. But she is right where you see the two grandkids and then her children Aegon, Aemond, Jaehaerys, and Luke. They're all in the Dragon Keep. They make fun of Aemond, who's very much like his father Viserys, just kind of weak, but he's got that scary face, man. That kid looks like he's gonna once he learns how to ride a dragon or really bond with one, he's gonna scorch the earth. I got that vibe from him.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
he's the one that is getting bullied and stuff. So those are the ones you gotta be careful of whenever they tend to get like some sort of like power position or anything like that. Like they will hold that resentment, and what they do with the power that they do find themselves with. That's that's a scary thing to think of.
yeah. Like I said, just the kid seeing the kids more was very interesting. Like Aegon definitely being the most dominant one because he is the oldest out of all of them. And oh my god, I just hated every time I saw Allison conniving with somebody, especially Kristen Cole. That guy is completely gone. Just flip side, he once loved Rhaenyra. Now he has the ultimate hatred for her, and the training in the keep really showed that, which was just fucked up. Like really trying to help Allison's kids, like Aemond and Aegon, because he does see them as no, he's sworn his allegiance to her, so he's just no. I'm training you guys to defend yourselves when Rhaenyra or somebody else tries to kill you, essentially. And Harwin, I think you called her. We were talking about this in private that like, oh, who's gonna be the father to these kids? And it's like Lord Harwin was the one who gave birth to all three of those kids with Rhaenyra. especially since he carried her out of that dinner, all those years before. It's like he's
Hmm.
been there to carry her through all these children. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, dude, like this guy and her, like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get together at some point, and it turns out they did, and then within the time jump that we did get, but yeah, that scene in the courtyard, I was just like, man, like Kristen, bro, like you got denied, dude, like you got to move on, my guy, like you can't be holding on to this resentment just because a woman said she didn't want to run away with you. It's like, bro, like it's not a good look on you, Kristen. But yeah, I mean, him and Allison make a good pair for that. They're both are like feel some type of way about Ramirez, so they're gonna team up basically against her. And yeah, like the scene in the training courtyard where he's definitely giving preferential treatment to Allison's kids. It kind of sucks because it shows that these people are passing on their rivalries to these kids. They're inheriting this infighting basically, and that is unfortunate. It sucks that that's coming up to a head, and eventually, I'm sure in the coming Civil War that we're going to see more of that. So it just goes to show, like, we pass on our faults to our kids, and that's unfortunate, and especially in these circumstances when you have the world on the line, basically.
Yeah, like I could understand Kristen's like when he was first upset because Rainier did just use him for sex and he betrayed his oath to that. But it's also like, dude, you played on your own feelings too. You did love her, and yeah, it sucks that she said no. But after a certain point, you gotta be a knight again, man. But I think he's just forsaken that. I think that's why he's such a dick is that he's just completely fucked up the oath. He doesn't care anymore. Now he's just in service to Allison and just making sure Rhaenyra goes down, like her and anything has to do with her goes down. It was shitty, and Harwin definitely he fucked up when he just let Cole set him off. It's kind of ironic because somebody said something to Cole last episode all those years ago, set him off. He did the same
Mm-hmm.
thing to Harwin. Goddamn, just asshole to him.
Yeah,
And
that moment was so satisfying though, seeing just Harwin lay into Kristen. But again, just the consequence of that was unfortunate.
yeah, and it was even more unfortunate when Lord Strong, like Harwin's father, is just like, I have to resign. He just it sucks. He's very much like he's also very reminiscent of Eddard Stark, Ned Stark, where he's just complete. He's by the book. He's a very honorable guy. He's not the best father, as his kids point out, but he does have a sense of duty and stuff. And he's like, I can't do this anymore because all the rumors. My son really like dishonoring us, and if only I could say the same thing about his other son Laris, but ever since last episode, man, that guy's a fucking just rat. I can't stand this guy already.
Yeah,
I'm gonna love when
total
he
snake.
dies, if he dies at all in this show.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if it's as satisfying as Littlefinger's, demise that we got in the later seasons of Game of Thrones. But yeah, this guy is I think he's the one that people should keep their eye on. I mean, he's seems to be like the one that's the big bad of the show. With him sort of having Allison's ear, and him sort of like taking her suggestions or like her wishes of like, oh, like I wish my dad was here, like if he were here none of this would be happening, and his interpretation is as, oh, I'm gonna get rid of this my dad and my brother and we're gonna get your dad back. It's like, dude, what
That's
a snake.
fucked up. And I was really bummed that we only got to see Harwin for essentially just an episode and a half or a full episode, like part of last episode, this one, and they two different actors too, which is it's a bummer that they got killed off so quick. But I hate to say it, the good people in Game of Thrones they never last, and that sucks because they were good people.
Mm-mm.
He did care about those kids. He tried to keep his distance, but Cole just really teaching Aemon and Aegon to bully the shit out of him was like, that's fucked up. Mostly Aegon, really, because Aegon's the actual fighter, where Aemon can barely swing a sword. Um, what else happened? I really like that. I like that whole that whole storyline was really solid. And then Damon's was actually really cool too. I think I got
Mm-hmm.
super excited when I saw him and Lena riding around. I thought Cyrax and Syraxes were really big. Damon's dragon and Rhaenyra's dragon. Holy shit, Lena had the best dragon.
The
So
biggest.
so
That
far
thing's
though, yeah,
huge.
he was like a Godzilla man flying around in Vagar, and man, it's kind of nice seeing like that's what could have been Rhaenyra and Daemon. Even though I don't want that to happen, it's like man, maybe they should have so they could be happier and like be complete Targaryens. But them just kind of living in. I think they were in Essos, right? Or where were they at? I kind of was unsure. Or
No,
they're in Pentos. They're in
Pentos,
Pentos.
yes.
But he's just kind of living the life. He's essentially a glorified bounty hunter out there, just kind of doing whatever Pentos wants for gold, living the good life. And Lena just wants to. It's kind of ironic that Daemon was the warrior in this family, but Lena's the one who's a true dragon rider, and she's the one who's like, we shouldn't be here. We're not people. We're not essentially just sell swords for these people. We should be living at home and drift in the drift mark and living like the way we should and being proper dragon riders, not this stuff. So I really like that. But again, it was just also sad that their marriage was just dying off too. Like they're not happy with each other. They're just also a marriage by, I guess convenience. I guess would be the best way to put it.
Or I guess like status. Like it seems like
Status, yeah, that's what I meant.
with him getting rid of his previous wife, he's come into like some status and money, and then furthered that with the marriage with Lena, and having that alliance with the Valerians. And it seems like that's sort of what he wanted, that he's been sort of like pining for this status and for some significance, but at the same time he seems like he's in conflict about whether he wants to be involved in the bigger aspects of the throne, and what's going on with his brother, and that whole that whole issue that's going on in King's Landing. Like, he says that he is uninterested and that he doesn't want any part of it, but his actions say otherwise. Like, he can't but help himself, because he like we said, like, he does care about his family, as much of a dick as he is, and as much of these as much of a thorn in their side as he is, he does care about them. And I like that Lena like sort of called him out on that, like, yo, like, I know that I've made peace with the fact that our coming together, and our kids, and this sort of life that we built ourselves is not satisfying you. And I like that she was aware of it, and in this like small brief moment we've got to like know her more as a character, and she is a really strong character, and another female character and a female in Damon's life that is just straight up too good for him, because his first wife, she seemed very much like in the mold of Lena, very strong, very independent, and very capable, and it seems like he just won't be satisfied until he somehow gets back in with his family. It seems like at least that's the case. But yeah, that whole conversation that they had together was really interesting, and in the brief moments that we had her, made Lena a really interesting and strong character.
Yeah, I really, again, so she started out as a little kid trying to be sold off to Viserys, and now she's such a strong warrior and dragon rider. Like, I respected the shit out of her. And also, again, the irony, another callback to the first episode where she's trying to give birth, she's trying to push, but the baby is just not coming out. So essentially it's like, well, we could do another C-section essentially, but can't guarantee the baby will survive. He's like, what about my wife? And it's like, she'll definitely die. Like, the doctor says, like, no, she's gonna die for sure. I'm not giving you hope on that. And it's again, because it's funny, because he made fun of his brother and that whole situation years ago, like with taking the egg, saying the son for a day, the king for a day, or some shit. Like, when it's his karma finally caught up with him. But and another reason why I respected Lena was just that she went out on her own terms. She walked outside to Vagar, and again, another great character decision, like kind of like Cyrax in that first episode, when she says Dracarys, like, Vagar, like, kill me, essentially. Yeah, it just has that long shot of him just like kind of bouncing back and forth, like, I don't want to do this. You're my writer. Like, who am I gonna be with after this? And it was just such a bittersweet death, because it's like she was gonna die anyways, so might as well go out in a blaze, just like a dragon rider should. So,
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting, like that choice of how they sort of decided to reintroduce us to Damon in this current time and Rhaenyra in this current time with two birthing scenes, where she's in the position that she was always feared as a kid. It's like she was afraid like she would end up, being someone's wife who has to, push out heirs in her own words. Like the fact of her mother dying in childbirth left a big scar on her, and we're introduced to her, and in this form, this older form, doing that act, and we're immediately like we're being told like, okay, this is like she's a strong person, that she's basically confronting the very thing that she feared. And then also, on the flip end with Damon and his wife going through that same decision that his own brother had in the first episode. It's like again, it's a lot of really interesting story parallels that we're getting in the first episode, and then now this sixth episode, which is the first episodes of their respective halves. So, very very interesting storytelling that they're going for in here, and sort of the way that they're pushing these two characters together. Rhaenyra and Daemon in this framing of this like birthing sequences.
It's kind of like that saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like Rhaenyra and Daemon are still very true to themselves, but as they've grown up and started having families and kind of gained more status, they've definitely learned like, oh man, this isn't as simple as I thought it was or anything like that. The tables have turned for both of them, and it even forced Rhaenyra to leave King's Landing just because, Lord Harwin leaving, like both, like Harwin leaving, and all the rumors going around about the baby, like her children, and even Allison, stoking the fires with that. She's like, let's just go to Dragonstone. We can regroup there, just kind of live away from this a little bit. But I like that, Laenor had like that lover Carl with a Q, which I thought was interesting because I had the subtitles on. That she's like, no, you can take him. Like, I know you're going to be happy with him, but we also do need as many soldiers and warriors as we can, because she knows a fight is coming, and it's going to be between, King's Landing and Dragonstone. This is the civil war is essentially going to start soon.
Yeah, and it does suck too because she did attempt diplomacy, which I thought was very big of her, as a character. Maybe, Allison is right in that it stemmed from a little bit of like fear of of being
absolutely,
found
yeah.
out. That was definitely sort of like a driving force in that. But, she is trying to squash the beef basically, and Allison is basically not hearing any of it. So it's like, yeah, it's like diplomacy's failing here, so she's got to basically bounce and sort of gather forces for the inevitable fight to come.
hmm And again, man, I really would now. I kind of want to read the books, or at least the Dance of Dragons or something, because that's supposed to be like this series is supposed to follow that story shortly. Because I just want to see how gruesome it's gonna get. I'm really scared to see who's gonna go, who's gonna fight on, and seeing what's gonna happen with the dragons too, because this war is the thing that basically killed them all off and lost the Targaryens their true strength. So, man, a lot of good stuff. And I do love Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook. I think they definitely. I mean, they were originally cast first for these characters, I believe. I know Emma Darcy was for sure. So it's great that it's like, okay, Millie Alcock and Emily Carey, you guys were awesome. Thank you for the first half, but now let Olivia and the other Emma take over.
Yeah, I mean the passing of the baton couldn't have been done in a better way. Like the opening of this episode, and everything that came after was very much like, okay, like this story is still going, and these new actors are coming in and filling these roles, and you don't have anything to worry about as viewers because they are incredible. And like you said, they were cast first, and the younger actors were cast later. But yeah, just the fact that they were to do this transition and have it work and have it be so smooth. It's a credit to the to all the creators involved, because yeah, this is a great, I guess, second pilot that we're getting for this first season.
Yeah, and it's, man, this second half, I'm already happy with it. We got more dragons. A lot of moving parts here, a lot of conniving and backstabbing. So it's gonna get good. Especially now that we really know who the villains are with Alicent, Kristen Cole, and Laris. We basically have. It's funny, his little sigil or something, the beetle or whatever that bug was, like, or he was even a cockroach. I don't really know, but I'm like, dude, you're a fucking monster. And at least now we have a clear idea of who's fighting against who. Damon's kind of the wild card, but now it's Rhaenyra and Laenor against those three. So it's going to be an interesting second half. Before we wrap up, Bern, anything else that caught you in this episode, or maybe you thought was pretty cool?
I mean, just the little detail that I've noticed in these last few episodes was the symbolic visual of the rat. You know, we've been seeing this like
Mm-hmm.
rat peer up here and then, and this one, you know, Viserys notices it, you know, at the end of the episode. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely showing that you know, things inside King's Landing are coming to a boil. You know, like there are people in here that don't have, you know, the best interests of everyone involved outside of themselves. So then the fact that it's sort of it's simmered and it's come to a head under Viserys's rule is again very telling of how weak of a king he really was. And you know, last week's episode he was sort of opining about wanting to have probably been challenged, you know, to like see if he would have been basically if he would have been a different man, you know, had there been any sort of conflict that he had to deal with, when there has been one brewing underneath his very nose and he hasn't done anything good to sort of quell that. So yeah, this a lot of this is definitely going to be on him, and you know, Otto of course too. But yeah, like the fact that all this has been able to come to the way it's gotten to now, it's a testament to, you know, who he was as a ruler. And that's unfortunately telling of Viserys, because he was a great guy, you know, like he's a genuinely good dude, but not a good leader.
Yeah, some people are made to. Some people are fit to lead, others aren't. And yeah, maybe Viserys should have been tested, but unfortunately, time that fate doesn't agree with you on that, and now he's being tested when he's on the brink of death, essentially. So it was very. It's gonna be a rough half of the season. So I'm looking forward to next week. But as always, guys, don't be afraid. What did you guys? Let us know in the comments. What did you guys think of this episode? Are you guys loving this season so far? Did this kind of kickstart more interest for you guys? We'd love to hear about it. So we got more Cassian Andor coming out this week. Just Andor. I just keep saying his full name just because if I say his last name, I just want to say Ander, and that's not right.
Yeah.
And we got Rings of Power coming up again. She-Hulk is starting to wrap up soon, so we'll have a couple more episodes of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try and go see that movie Smile. I don't know if Byrne will join me, but hopefully he does, because I know he's not a horror movie fan. But everybody, why don't you guys comment if you should go with me or not to go see Smile?
I'll suffer through it for the people, you know.
That's my boy right there. But as always, guys, keep on staying with us in this, and stay bodacious and keep on Rant for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. As always, you know, be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.